Striker's been with me for now a little over 2 weeks, and this is his first official training session. So I highly recommend you guys try to mimic this with your puppies as best you can. Find an open, quiet area where there's not a lot of distractions. Get yourself a leash. Yes, inside you want a leash right now, because if he decides to try and check out on me, I want to be able to control him. I'm learning a lot about Striker the last couple weeks, and one of the things that I'm really learning about him is that he's pretty independent. He likes to want to kind of wander away from me. So leashes are really important to make sure that I'm not repeating myself and getting into a situation where he's not going to follow me, okay? Plus little things like that, where he starts to misbehave and dig at my floor, I can stop immediately with a leash. Now I'm not going to stand here for too long and not work with him, because he is going to get bored, and then I'm going to get in a situation where he's not going to behave himself. So first and foremost, I work with a clicker with young dogs. You do not have to work with a clicker. I understand that there's a lot of timing that can go along with a clicker, and sometimes people get frustrated with it. I love clickers because they do a great job at cueing the dog for the correct behavior, okay? So we call it marking the moment, okay? So think of it as taking a picture of a behavior you like and then rewarding that behavior with a piece of food. So if you're going to use a clicker, maybe practice using this without the dog around at first so you can get comfortable having it. I like to attach mine to a badge reel and then clip it to my sleeve, so if I do drop the clicker, it's just dangling here. I've seen people use scrunchies as well as little hair ties. They'll put it around their wrist and just have a way to keep it in your palm, okay? And here's my little man getting bored, just like I thought he was going to do. Okay, so the other thing I want you guys to have is a bait or treat pouch on your side, okay? I really like the Oli Dog treat pouch. The reason why is because it has a nice little magnet on it that clips. It's lightweight and it fits really well on my belt, okay? The treats that I'm using today are tiny little pieces of cut up hot dogs, okay? He's had a few hot dogs in the past, I don't know, past week or so, but they're really small. They're like half a dime size pieces of hot dogs. And the reason I like to use them is because, one, they're soft and he can eat them quickly. He doesn't crunch on them like he does his dog food. And the other is that they're cheap, okay? I can buy a lot of hot dogs and cut them up into very small pieces. The other point is that he really likes them. They're salty, they're soft, and they're kind of meaty. Now you got to be careful. You don't want to use too many treats with him where he's going to get sick. So again, small pieces, feeding him, getting him used to them, okay? So one of the first things that you can do when you're using a clicker and using your food is to get him used to what a clicker means. So we call that clicker conditioning, okay? So he's doing something I like sitting down, behaving himself. I can click and give him a little piece of food. Now you'll see that I'm very particular, and this is just me in general. If I go to give him a piece of food and he jumps for it, I don't give it to him, okay? I want him to stay on the ground and eat it on the ground. This requires a lot of patience. I don't need him sitting. I just don't want him jumping. So I'm just going to play a little game with him of frustration. Okay, I promise you, if you guys take your time with this, you're going to get a dog that doesn't jump up for food. A lot of times I have adult dogs come in with food, or when I'm training with food, and they're trying to jump on me at 6, 7, 8 months old. And it's really difficult to try and train a larger dog when they're jumping on me, okay? So if you have to, bring your food down low to keep those feet on the floor. Remember, I'm not using the clicker to get his attention. Big mistake. I've even seen pro trainers do this. They will click to get the dog's attention and then give the piece of food. What I'm trying to do is mark the moment of the behavior that I like. So you can see he's doing things that I like. I'm marking it. I'm taking a picture with this sound. The great thing about the clicker is that it gives you the ability to have really good timing. If I see something that I like, I can mark it immediately with the same sound very quickly by just a push of the button. Studies have shown a dog will learn a behavior twice as fast if you use a clicker. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to use a clicker later on in life. You don't. Just like with food, I wean off of it in my training, and it'll do the same thing with the clicker. If you're not using food don't use a clicker. They are in conjunction with each other, okay? So I'm going to show you how I start to use this in training. He is by no means clicker conditioned. It'll take him a few sessions to understand that this sound means that it is paired with a piece of food, okay? So, again, he's got this little feet thing going on where he wants to jump up for the treat. I'm not giving, even if I have to hold the food right here, I'm not giving it to him until his feet are on the floor. He is going to be a powerful, big animal. And if I don't instill my standard right now at 11, 12 weeks old, I'm going to be battling something later on that I wish I had. So again, when he's not paying attention to me, common sound is a little kissy noise, a little touch with the leash. This is what I'm talking about. He's a pretty independent dog. He's easily distracted, okay? You would think that he'd be staring at me because I have this food right now, but he's very curious. Good. And notice, I'm not telling him anything. I'm just looking for an action that I like. Right now, it's just him. Hey, psst, psst, psst. It's just him looking up at me, and that's all I want. He looks at me, he gives me his attention, and I can give him a little treat. I'll start using his name a little bit. Oh, there's a freebie. Striker. Again, be very careful with Bouncy Boy here. Okay? Gotta make sure you try to capture him. Now, some people would say, oh, if you use food, you're just going to encourage bad behavior. It actually gives you a chance to teach him how to control himself by introducing something that's exciting like food, and then forcing him, in a sense, to pay attention and behave properly with the food in our presence. The other misnomer is, oh, you're using human food, so he's going to want human food. Dogs will eat human food. You never give a dog a hot dog before, and you go to offer it to him at 12 years old, they're going to want it, okay? If you're at a barbecue and you've never given a dog a hot dog, I can guarantee they're going to want it, okay? So just because I'm using food in training doesn't mean that they're going to want my human food. I will never feed my dogs from the table. Okay? The only time I ever give my dogs any treats is through training or away from my table or kitchen, so they don't associate that place as a place to beg for food. Striker. Good boy. So just simply moving around with him, saying his name when he's not paying attention. Striker. Good. And again, because he's so bouncy, I'm being cautious about when I give him the food. I don't have to click and feed immediately. Okay, that's another misnomer, is that we click, we got to feed. We got to click, and we got to get the food to him right away. You don't. I don't want it to lapse by 30 seconds, but if I catch something and I like it, I can take a second to make sure I'm giving him the food while he's behaving himself. So I don't need a lot of space for what I'm doing right now. I just need a quiet area with a little bit of room to move around. Good. And he's actually, the thing that I'm looking forward to is the next session I do with him to see if we get any improvement with this jumping up. I never expect a dog to really learn anything the first session that I'm working with them. I expect to start seeing some results the second, the third, the fourth session. Good. So when I hear that phrase that everybody says, oh, I just did it 1, 2 times and my dog learned it. Completely false. You have to perform a behavior with a dog about 1,500 times before they're actually going to start to, quote unquote, know what it is that you're asking of them. So if you think your dog has learned anything the first time you taught them, you are misled. And when I say no, I mean no, not like they did it one time. That's not knowing anything. Good boy. Jumping's getting a little bit better toward the end of the session. I got to be careful because I've been using a lot of treats here and I don't want to use too much more. After this session, I am going to take him outside to go potty. If he does not go potty, I'm going to put him back in his crate. The idea behind that is that I'm not going to allow him to wander around when I know I've just given him a bunch of food that could push old food through without him showing signs of going to the bathroom. Good, that's better. Notice there's not a lot of praising going on either. Now, oh, we can do poopy pooey. He doesn't need that right now. What I'm trying to do is teach him to concentrate and focus a little bit. So if I'm getting too excited with him and getting him all worked up, and there's so much I'm learning about him right now, just through this one session. Part is that he's bouncy. When he gets excited, he is a bouncy dog. So my action is to reward his behavior, which is to stay calm. Good boy. Okay, now I'm going to bring the place bed out a little bit because he really likes that elevated bed. And I'm going to start working on having him place with the clicker. Okay, grab that. Bring it out. I love elevated surfaces. These Kuranda dog beds are fantastic. They're really good quality beds. The thing that I love about an elevated surface is that it gives them a clear boundary. Okay, they're stepping up, they're stepping off. They're stepping up, they're stepping off. Good boy. Good. So because of that, eventually when I ask them to start staying on here, they'll understand where their proper place to be is and the improper place. So, and right off the bat, I'll start telling them, free. Good. Now, what I'm doing here, I know I'm probably throwing a lot of information at you guys, but you could rewind this and watch it again. Every command that I teach my dogs, I want there to be an ending to that command. So in other words, free. Okay? I'm trying to teach him that the word free means that he's done being on the bed. Eventually that will be paired to a sit. Eventually that will be paired to the come command. It'll be paired to the lay down command. Every command that I teach, free, I want there to be a finish to it. Because once I start teaching the stay, okay, the dog has to understand what, if the stay is stop, what means go. Okay, so free basically means free, go. Okay, now notice what I'm doing with my body. I'm helping him by using the food and walking toward the bed. When I'm ready for him to come off, I'll move away from the bed and just back up. Free. See how he wants, it just kind of excites him and pulls him off? You can put him back on. Right. And again, notice the click happens when he gets on the bed. Free. Oh boy, oh, it's so exciting. You can see him already starting to figure the game out. If I go up here, that noise gets made and I get a piece of food. Free. Good. Good. Again, in between, I'm being patient. I'm not just giving him food. Look, free. A lot of times food gets a bad name, okay? A lot of people, oh, you don't want to use food in training, and they'll only do it for food. Okay, the problem with saying that is that you have no idea what you're talking about when you say that, okay? I'm just going to put that out there. If you go to work, you expect to be paid. When you're a kid and you set up a lemonade stand, you don't take credit, you don't take IOUs, and you don't take checks. Cash only, instant gratification. Why? Because the development of their brain is of such free that they don't want to do something over and over without there being something in it for them. So, as adults, we typically only get paid every 2 weeks. So it takes us a while, even as humans, to wait for our reward for all the work that we put in, okay? Dogs, much faster. Within a year, maybe even less than that, 8 to 9 to 10 months, you can really start to wean off food altogether and just use the relationship that you've built with them through training. But in the beginning, I'm trying to get to that 1,500 number, right? So if I don't use some sort of incentive, free, except for my pretty little face, which ain't that pretty, he's going to eventually get really bored of me. Striker. Here you go. So the food is a great way to bang out those 1,500. Striker. Especially when I'm dealing with a dog like Striker who has this independent streak to him. I'm competing against everything out in the world. If I don't up my value a little bit, free, with a little bit of pay, he's not going to want to work for me this long, okay? Puppies have a really short attention span. I gotta try to drag it out as long as I can without boring him. Good. So, food is important, but it's important when I use it too. I'm not gonna give it to him right now when he's wiggling all over the place and jumping at me, because then it really decreases the value of the food. I'm just basically giving it to him for whatever he does for me. And that's not a healthy way to train. I want to make sure that at least he's calm right now before he gets his food. Free. Let me explain a little bit more about this place, and I'll talk more about this some other day. But when I ask him to get on this place, you notice I haven't asked him to sit or lay down or do anything. All I'm asking him to do is get up on here. Free. That's the only job he has right now, is to get up on here. Place. Good. And stay up there until free. Okay, until I pull him off. Last one. Striker. Good. Good place. Free. That's a good boy. So every session should finish with play, but before I do that, I am going to take him out. I'm going to potty him, see if he's got to go to the bathroom, and make sure that I'm working on just having fun with him after each session as well. I think he's having fun doing this. You don't want to do it for too long because you don't want to bore him. So have fun. Do this with your young dogs if you have them. Don't wait too long to start training, okay? It's a myth that I don't train my dogs until they're 6 months old. Way behind the 8 ball, okay, if you're doing that. That's like telling my friends I don't teach my children how to read until they're in the 6th grade. Way too late, okay? Right now we're teaching him how to learn. That's basically what we're doing, okay? So, again, like, subscribe, most importantly, share, guys. Get this information out there to your friends and your family and other people that you know own dogs, because I'm trying to give you all the information that I would give any one of my clients for absolutely free. There's no memberships required. There's none of this hanging on for 45 minutes to find the answer to your problems. Just stick with me, follow along on these videos, and use this with your dogs. Remember, just like the other videos I've been talking about, if you're behind the 8 ball with your personal dogs that are older, start from the beginning. It might be a little bit harder because some of the bad habits are instilled, but just start from the beginning and start working and following along and trying to do what I'm doing with Striker, even if it's with your older dogs. So thanks for watching. Again, stick with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.